Hello everyone. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Lisa Green and I am a student at Lincoln Memorial University. The university is located in Harrogate, Tennessee. I am enrolled in the Family Nurse Practitioner program with expected graduation date 2019. Today I will be giving a brief description of the nursing theory of family stress and adaptation, and this theory is a middle-range nursing theory. I chose this theory because it is simple and easy to understand, also because stress is part of the life we live. Everyone everywhere is under stress, whether it's job-related, financial, physical, mental, or whatever the situation, stress will always be part of our lives. This theory focuses on the family. The family is a separate unit with the concept of how the family as a unit perceives stress and how they adapt to it. Concepts of stress and adaptation. The theoretical framework used was the ABCX model, the FAR model. Some key terms that we'll discuss: family resiliency, crisis, adaptive resources. As with most nursing theories and research, someone will start with a theory and years later, people will add to it. The ABCX theoretical framework was first introduced in 1949 by Reuben Hill. Hill defined A as the stressor event, B is family resources, C is the meaning of the event to produce the X factor. Since then, McCubbin and Patterson, 1985, expanded on the framework to introduce the double ABCX model for further study of pre- and post-crisis situation to include the idea of pileup stressors. I will give you an example of a research article in the upcoming slides of how the double ABCX model was used in the nursing research. This diagram is the double ABCX model from the McCubbin and Patterson. It's a very simple diagram that can be used with different variables. Stressors that pile up on the family unit can weaken and wear down the family. And if you notice the center, the BC coping, is based on family resources with how the family perceives or appraises the stressor event to be able to adapt to the circumstances. This slide describes the FAR model. FAR model meaning Family Adjustment and Adaptation Response. To save time, this description of the FAR model is very simplistic. Discussions on the adaptation response can be very lengthy and strategic. So this slide doesn't entail all the detail involved. Instead, it gives a very brief description of each phase. The FAR model includes family demands, such as normative, non-normative stressors. A normative stressor would be, example, going through puberty or getting married. Non-normative stressors would include natural disasters. Family capabilities are tangible and psychosocial resources, their coping behaviors. Family meaning is family definition of their demands and capabilities, the identity as a family and their worldview. Adjustments or adaptation often involve changing prior beliefs and values. This slide shows a visual aid of the FAR model. The upper part of the model shows the adjustment phase, then how the crisis will build up to the lower part of the model showing the adaptation phase. This is an appropriate visual aid that shows the seesaw effect of the adjustment phase leading to the leveled out adaptation phase. This model shows the family definition or the meaning of the situation and how they view the world. As shown in the previous slide, crisis is in the middle of the adjustment and adaptation phase. In crisis, family demands are greater than the family capabilities. Usually it's the turning point for the family. It leads to considerable change to family configuration, and it can lead to discontinuity in family function to become either improved or poor. Some key terms in my research: resiliency, ability to adapt to stress, a focus of how family functions during stressful times. A family's successful experience with demands increases their resiliency. However, if it is difficult to handle normal demands, it could lead to a decline in family function. Adaptive resource is personal resources, social support, family sense of cohesion, family perception of the circumstance, and meaning given to the situation by the family as moderating the pile-up stressors. Terms and definition continue. Personal resources and individual resources such as knowledge, self-esteem, and skills. Family system resources. Family systems such as cohesion, communication, and adaptability. Social support, support networks of other family members and friends. All these terms would be considered to be very beneficial to the family as a unit. How has this theory been used in nursing research? This theory has been used as a guide to help understand the family as a unit and the relationship to stress, crisis, and how the family either adapts or becomes vulnerable. The framework used was the ABCX model and the FAR model that was discussed briefly. This theory is beneficial to nursing research because family researchers have concluded that the amount of stress family encounters vary across the stages of the family life cycle. How can this theory guide or frame research? This theory can guide research now and in the future because times will change, people will change, and the stressors and strains on families will always be present. This theory explains how family adjusts and adapts to crisis, and it shows how the family corresponds to situational demands. The peer-reviewed research article titled "Persons with AIDS and Their Support Persons, Stress and Life Satisfaction." The main topics included the following: an introduction, how AIDS-related stress and PWAs, person with AIDS, can have a satisfaction of life after their diagnosis. PWAs deal with social stress, they're rejected, judged, ridiculed. How they perceive themselves has a major impact on their life satisfaction. PWAs, caregivers/support persons. As caregivers, stress is increased because they may also have the AIDS virus themselves. The role of gender. Male PWAs has shown to have a higher sense of coherence and feeling of well-being than females. The theoretical framework, ABCX framework, ABC to predict the X factor. The methodology was a comparison of two groups: 1, diagnosed with HIV, 2, primary support persons. N equals 114 in both groups. This article, Persons with AIDS and Their Support Persons, is an excellent study, and it was a qualitative study. This study was very in-depth. It had lots of charts, tables, lots of statistics, and the study used a variety of scale names to measure variables, such as historic family functioning, family coping, perceived impact of AIDS. And under the stressors A1 and 2, general functioning scale, family inventory of life events, there were questions concerning that. The resources for coping, family crisis-oriented personal evaluation scale, there was questions pertaining to that. The C1, C2 definition of the event, impact of the event scale, family health status inventory. There were questions related to that. And finally, the X, the level of organization/adaptation, the satisfaction with their life scale. There were questions related to that. During my research of this study, I concluded it was all about relationships. And again, it's based on the ABCX model. The first relationship between family functioning and life satisfaction was mediated by family coping. A second relationship existed between family stress and life satisfaction. A third relationship was found between female support persons' perception of stress and life satisfaction. The reference for this study is provided for anyone who wishes to acquire more information. Some nursing implications. It is important to provide caregiver support. Do not avoid family issues. To avoid the family partner is to ignore critical resources for treatment. Each family member has a different level of strengths. You always want to engage caregiver or the partner in the care. You want to assist with resources and find strengths of families involved, and encourage the caregiver to engage in therapy. How can this theory be useful in further research? It's beneficial because it adds to the body of knowledge for healthcare organizations and family therapists. It adds to the knowledge that we already have. It allows a better understanding of how the sickness, death, divorce, whatever the stressor, affects the family and how the family adapts and becomes stronger or vulnerable. Further research is needed because families are consistently being under stress, the role of each family members are critical, and the complexity of the family unit will continue to change. As time changes, family units will also change. People's definition and how they perceive stress will change. Because of these levels of changes, more research will be needed to provide empirical evidence on how nurse practitioners can use this evidence-based research as a guide to provide families with better outcomes related to stressful circumstances. And lastly, the reference list. Thank you for your time.